Magdalene's blog 55. I sat on my pallet in the place we were staying, whilst Rachel was making something for us to eat. The visit to Meridian had ended sadly, even after the initial beautiful promise of it, and now my devil-laden mind was convincing me that I would never be able to partake in what was being offered. All of it snatched from me again, and the more I tried to hold on to it, the more the chance seemed to be draining away, leaving nothing but an awful hollowness, a central emptiness that belonged to the demon spirits, yet my limbs were filled with a horrible jangling of nerves, both the residue and warning of their return. Food held no interest for me, nor lying down any prospect of rest. Thinking was the worst thing, because my own thoughts were fully merged into those demons who possessed me. I deserved all that was happening to me, disobeying my parents, deserting the Most High God, my mind ranted at me, deceiving my high priestess and the goddesses too, always continuing to flaunt my pride before anyone else's wisdom. And here my fall was being accompanied by the taunts echoing back from within the misery. There was no one to save me, a fool's dream. Give it up. Eat what I had truly earned. Rachel knocked on the door and came into the room carrying a tray of spicy-smelling food. One look at me told her things were not well. For a while I'd forgotten the devil's very real powers, but now they were back in full strength and consumed with a terrible desperation. Dark wings flapped in and around my thoughts, clawed talons eating into my vitals as I doubled up in pain. Everything was buzzing in my head. Mary, are you all right? This food is just what you need. Would you like me to leave it here? Go away, I heard an ugly guttural voice utter words out of my mouth. Go and shrivel your dags elsewhere, witch-whore. Rachel almost dropped the food in shock, just managing to place the tray in a low table beside the door as she hurriedly ducked backwards out of the room. The leading devil swung my arm at the tray of food, scattering its contents across the floor. Down on your knees, bitch! That harsh and vile voice sounded within and outside, and my legs crumpled under me, leaving me scrabbling around in the mess. This is all you're good for, making food into feces. Excretia is what you are and what you will get. My hands pushed into the filth and smeared it over my face, and it did truly smell as the demons described, making me cringe and retch. Eat your death. I turned to face the presence of darkest dread, the shadow of evil. I knew my death was here. The demon's play had reached the finish. Yet, no harm shall come to her. The voice memory came back to me, quiet but distinct, despite death's demon's presences. The irrepressible kindness in those words was everything the devils were desperate to blot out, but hadn't quite managed to. I knew, absolutely, that this was the moment I had to act. Without hesitation, I grasped my vision and dived inwardly to where the voice was somehow shining at the heart of me, careless of anything other than getting there. A dreadful wail sounded all around, and a fearful buzzing threatened to engulf me. But I clung to the candlelight of compassion that shone in the void, and I wouldn't leave hold of it. It was still a long night that I faced, holding intact while the cacophony of terror continued, that turned eventually to whisperings and coaxing, for me to be sensible and face up to the real world. And normally I would have heeded what sounded like my own good sense, but the unexpected gift of my possession was that I knew beyond any doubt what it was I really needed. What I felt here in the deepest part of me could not be gainsaid by any amount of smooth and clever thinking. So I managed not to listen to those disparaging voices, and even slept a bit before the dawn light woke me again.